Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much for offering this incredible opportunity for our Wayne State students. My name is Annika Sood, and I'm a PR rep for Club Med Virtual, and I'll be leading today's session, like just reading any comments, felicitating the conversation as we go on. So before we start, I just want to remind everyone to maintain proper etiquette. Please keep themselves on mute unless Jessica specifies otherwise. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and they'll be addressed as we go throughout the session. And a Google survey will be administered for Wayne State University students at the very end of the session to verify your attendance, and it'll close 30 minutes after the session ends. So please stay on the call for at least 5 minutes after just to ensure the survey is working for you. The session will also be posted on YouTube in case you're unable to attend or want to revisit some of the topics Jessica discusses today, but cannot receive attendance hours unless you're present on the call. So I'll give it over to Jessica to begin. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be able to even do these kinds of things for everybody because I was literally in all of your spots. I remember being a pre-dental student, not even a few months ago. So it's definitely such a humbling experience so far being able to, be before all of you guys. I remember seeing so many dental students and going up to them asking them for advice, so I definitely want to be that kind of person for all of you. So yeah, let's just get started. Thank you so much, Club Med Virtual, for having me. I'm really excited. Okay, so I am a first year dental student at Midwestern University. Okay, so just to give you a little background about who I am, I grew up with at least 5 different siblings. As you can see, right over here, my whole family. I am the first in my entire family to even pursue dentistry, so this is super exciting for us. My little sister also, she wants to do occupational therapy, so I'm also Jordanian. I'm a musician. A lot of people that know me from even before I was doing pre-dental, I was recording music in the studio. I love playing the piano, violin, guitar. But I've always been super passionate about healthcare and, just the field of science. I had a mentor growing up. He is an orthopedic surgeon. He always put me on his dream team, and he was always like, you're on my dream team, and I see so much potential in you. And, I love the sciences. So I always wanted to be very hands-on if I did something in the healthcare field. Being a surgeon was definitely the top of the line for me, but I'm a girl, I want to have kids, I want to get married. I wanted something a little more realistic. So why I chose dentistry, the biggest thing is I love being able to help a patient within, a 30-minute to an hour period. So that drew my attention to dentistry so much more than any other healthcare field. I love that I was able to be hands-on. I don't know if some of you guys have shadowed or been even dental assistants. Getting that firsthand exposure to dentistry, early on in my collegiate career, it kind of sold me on dentistry. I fell in love with the field. So if any of you are still freshmen, sophomores, definitely get those hours in. We'll talk a little bit more about how many shadowing hours you need in order to apply to dental school a little later. But I also love the artistic and the engineering part of dentistry as well. There's so much engineering that goes into dentistry, and you really have to be good with your hands. That's a big thing, which I'll talk about how much clinical experience you're going to get your first year. By your third and your fourth year, you're completely in the clinic. So just to give you a little background about that. So some of my undergraduate experience, I know all of you guys are pre-dental students, so here's some of the things that I did throughout my undergrad experience. I don't know if you guys have a pre-dental club at your school, but I did, and I was the vice president of the pre-dental club. I definitely recommend you, being a part of that club. I met so many people. I networked with my future colleagues. A lot of us took the same classes together. Let me get this. 1 second. So yeah, a lot of us, took the same classes together, and we really just grew very close by the end of the 4 years. So take advantage of what they have to offer you. Since I went to UIC, I met a lot of people I met a lot of the faculty that, connected with the pre-dental club. So I was able to, right over here, do the ambassador program at UIC. I also got the opportunity to be an implant inventory manager at the UIC College of Dentistry as well. And I also, what else did I do? I did research as well, as you can see, number 6. I did research at the College of Dentistry as well. So taking advantage of the pre-dental club is huge. I was the vice president. I love that I can mentor other students. We were all on the same path, though, at the same time. I also founded my own organization. It was called the Pre-Health Society of Chicago. I am so glad that everything went through. I could show you really quickly just a video of. So this was kind of like the venue that I planned. We had, let's see, just to show you guys like a little bit. He's the orthopedic surgeon that was my mentor. We donated all the money to him. He works at Northwestern. So I got to just find a bunch of super successful healthcare professionals that came and spoke to all the students. So that was amazing. I connected UIC, Loyola, DePaul, all pre-health students from all those Chicagoland universities, and I was able to create the Pre-Health Society of Chicago. So yeah, definitely creating your own organization definitely looks great. A big thing is dental schools want to see leadership. Going into, start opening your own clinic or just being the head of your clinic, you're going to be leading a lot of situations. So they definitely want to see you take advantage of what the campus has to offer and getting those leadership experiences. I was also a part of Music Magic. I taught children that have been abused and gone through family counseling how to play different instruments. I was temporarily a part of the UIC orchestra program. That was super nice to change up my schedule. I was on the exec board of Sparkathon, where I raised a bunch of money for cancer research for pediatric patients. That was pretty awesome. Like I said, my research, I did that as well as I used that research for my capstone project. It was dental research, so that was awesome to get that exposure. Definitely take advantage of research. They also have that available at Midwestern as well. I was a part of the Honors College. And I also sang at the NCAA gymnastics tournament at the UIC Pavilion. I was singing the national anthem at a bunch of different men's basketball games, women's basketball games. I got to sing at halftime sometimes as well. So that was pretty cool to just change up my schedule. In my personal statement, I also talked about me singing in the beginning. So that was awesome. Next. Yeah, I kind of went through the rest, but dental assisting is a huge thing. I did that for, I want to say 2 to 3 years, and that was awesome exposure on my application as well. So I majored in biological sciences, and I minored in music. Does anybody have any questions so far about undergraduate experiences? You could just unmute yourself. I'll just wait a second. Okay, cool. So yeah, here are just some pictures that some of the events that I coordinated. Right over here, this is the Pre-Health Society Gala that I coordinated with my fellow people on the exec board. This was another event, a dodgeball tournament that I coordinated, and I also put together, I brought a bunch of people for the hot chocolate run in Chicago. And then these are just things that the pre-dental club also offered us. So getting that exposure inside of the dental clinic at UIC's, dental school was awesome. And this was that ADIA event that it actually just so happened to be in Chicago a few years ago, or 2 years ago, I want to say. Okay, so how I studied for the DAT, I know some of you probably are studying right now. I used iPrep Dental. It is super expensive. I want to say like $1,700. If I were to go back, I feel like I wouldn't have spent that much, but it was a great program and I did get a lot out of it for the sciences. Oh, excuse me. But I feel like it was super expensive, and I know a lot of you don't want to be buying that much, worth of DAT program. So I also used DAT Bootcamp, which their prices did raise a little recently, but it's definitely a great program. DAT Destroyer is awesome. It gives you more of those difficult questions. It's not as easy, I would say, as like the DAT boot camp and the iPrep dental. It goes more like it gives you those really, really difficult questions, which could be good because on the DAT, it's a little easier than what you'll see on all three of those programs. Cliff Bio Notes is a good one just to help, fine tune your biology. And then I also made my own flashcards. I did it specifically for Orgo, and that was actually my highest score on the DAT. So definitely take advantage of some of these programs. They definitely are awesome, and they help me with my DAT, and I've gotten this far, so I'm sure they'll help you with yours and what you want to do. And then I wanted to add something else. Let's see. So yeah, a big thing is when you're studying for the DAT, if none of you have started studying for the DAT yet, what I recommend is you make a schedule. I know DAT Bootcamp gives you a schedule, but be realistic. Do not be afraid of the exam because I feel like a lot of people take months to begin studying just because they're so overwhelmed and scared to start. My biggest recommendation is just going in there, starting to study, make a planned schedule. I recommend not taking a full set of classes. I took a lot of summer classes, so I was able to only do like 10 credits for one of the semesters that I was studying for the DAT in. I ended up taking my DAT in July of the summer that I was applying just because I was taking Physics 2 over the summer. And I was also taking, I believe, like Orgo 2, something crazy. I was taking a lot of classes on top of the DAT. So it was very overwhelming. I do not recommend you doing that. So try to just give yourself time while you're studying for the DAT. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Any other DAT tips? Take full practice exams. Like, do not just take little exams. Like, go through DAT Bootcamp gives you, I think, like 10 to 15 practice exams. I don't remember, but they give you so many opportunities to go through an entire exam. I know it's so dreadful and like none of us want to do it, but I definitely recommend that the most out of anything else. Even if you're still not done going through the material, take one exam for the first time just to see where you're weakest in. Okay, so timeline when applying to dental school. The first one, just in general, join clubs early on in your undergraduate career. They don't want to see that you just did something your senior year. Like, try to be well-rounded from the start, and just show that you're dedicated to dentistry throughout those 4 years as well. You have to have at least 100 plus shadowing hours, and they also include dental assisting hours in that, I believe. But definitely just stay in contact with each of the universities that you reach out to. Stay in contact, see what they require. Ask for letters of recommendation. I say like around January. A lot of professors only take a certain amount for that semester. So definitely reach out as early as you can and build those relationships even beforehand. So plan to take your DAT before the first day the portal opens. So I recommend that. I obviously didn't do that. I took mine in July when I think the portal opened like the beginning of June. So definitely try to organize and plan your schedule according, but sometimes you're just going to keep pushing back your DAT. So things happen and, worst comes to worst, you don't have to do it early on, but try to as best as you can. So I took my DAT, like I said, in July, and it takes like 2 to 3 weeks for your DAT to be completely processed inside of your application. And it's called the ADIA ADSAS application, which I pulled it up right here. So when I was a pre-dental student, I wasn't too familiar with this. So I just want you guys to kind of take this in, look at it. This is how you're going to be applying to dental school. I just wanted to show you the website if some of you guys want to screenshot it or something, just for future reference so you can remember. You'll just make a username, password, and then there's a bunch of different things that you have to just fill out. I think a few of them is like your background information, like family information, where you went to like high school, where you went for undergrad. Even if you did some classes at a community college, they want to see all of those grades. They want to see all of those credits. So keep that into consideration. And then they also want your DAT score. Like I said, it's going to take a few weeks, and your whole application will not be submitted until your DAT score is in. A lot of people think they can just submit their application before their DAT, but you cannot. Once your DAT is fully submitted, which takes 2 to 3 weeks to process after you take the DAT, that's when you can completely send in your application. So try not to rush the application process. Just finish your DAT and then worry about the application. Personally, I think that's like the best way to go.
Jessica,
Um,
I don't know if you were
yeah.
trying to show us the application, but we couldn't see it.
Could you see this?
I think you have to stop sharing your screen with the PowerPoint and then show that.
Can you see the PowerPoint though right now?
Yeah, I can see the PowerPoint, but you can't
Oh,
see
I
it.
think it's because I think I only chose to share one thing. Okay, no worries. If you guys want, let me see if I could share in this tab. If you want, after I'm done going through the PowerPoint, I could show you guys after.
That's perfect.
If that's okay. Okay, thank you so much for telling me. Okay, so the supplemental applications. So a lot of people don't know, but you will have, besides your regular application, which is the ADIA ADSAS application, there's also a supplemental application. So your ADIA ADSAS, you're going to be spending $250 on your first school that you apply to. Every school after that will be like $100. So I recommend, like, when you're applying to dental school, you're going to be spending a lot of money. But what I recommend is just researching the school, seeing if you're even within the statistics. And if not, don't even bother, save your money, because be realistic about it. Some people do get lucky, but I don't know. I say just take the easy way out and do your realistic schools. I only applied to like 5 schools. And I'm just glad I got into the school that I wanted, thankfully. But that's what I recommend. Save your money, be realistic. It's not like, are your parents really going to let you go all the way to California? Are they really going to let you go all the way to New York? Like, is that what you really want? So keep that into consideration when you are choosing the schools that you want to apply to. But yeah, I think that's it for that. Okay, so let's talk about the interview process just a bit. So here are the 2 types of interviews that I experienced. I don't know if there's more than this, but this is what I experienced. MMIs, which is multiple mini interviews. So I had this at Indiana University, my interview, and it was 3 or 4 different stations, and everyone was just in a group, and each person would sit down in front of a faculty member or a student. I think it was like faculty member, student, and professor, like 3 different types of people. Faculty meaning like people of the admissions or something like that. So those 3 people, after you were like kind of chit-chatting, everyone was sitting next to each other, just with a different faculty member. After that, they take you to like your final interview, and it's more secluded, and it's with another professor, and it's just more one-on-one. Not so many people are around. It's like 2 people within a whole auditorium. So that was pretty cool. It was very easygoing. But let's talk about my Midwestern interview now. It was a one-on-one, you and like faculty interview, and I had actually 2 professors, and then it was just me. And that was it was when COVID happened, so that was all online, and I know a lot of you will be having probably online interviews, so that was like super nerve-wracking. They did definitely like try to make up for it not being in person, but it's just like, obviously it's through a computer, it's not going to be the same. All you have to do is just stay as positive as you can and just speak very clearly, be confident when you talk. They're very, very intimidating. I know a lot of you like want to apply to Midwestern. So just to give you a little background about like what I experienced, it is a lot of ethical questions, but they also want to get to know you at the same time. It was an intimidating interview, but that's like all dental school interviews. You just have to hold your ground, be who you are. So yeah. And then what to wear, females, business casual. I wore suits to all my interviews, even when it was virtual, still look professional. Males, same thing, suits. Okay, so recommendations. Before COVID happened, I actually met up with one of my pre-health advisors for a practice kind of run-through interview for the MMI. So that was also very useful, getting, their opinion and just like running through a practice interview. And a lot of us don't really know our pre-health advisors that really well. So see what your school has to offer. See if they give you those kinds of opportunities as well. I know for me, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. So hopefully down the line, I can do a YouTube video for you guys that you can kind of see what I experienced as well in my interview. As students who are already dental students at the university. So reaching out to somebody like me, I can give you a little more info. Just students that you know that go to that university, see what their take on it, because every place is going to be different, so definitely reach out. Okay, so my Midwestern acceptance process / interview. So I interviewed with Midwestern, I don't know, it was during like right when like quarantine happened. So it was like the end of March. And after the interview process, in the beginning, they just run through, the financial stuff and what Midwestern looks like and what to expect with our schedules, stuff like that. And then each person had like a 20-minute slot, I think, interview. And then it was a 2-on-1 interview for me. I don't know if other people had something different. I think the in-person interviews, it was 1-on-1. But yeah, after the interview process, I got a call from Midwestern 4 hours the same day that I interviewed. And basically, it was one of the professors, the deans, that actually called me, and he's like, would you be interested in being a part of our class of 2020? So that's just like a little insight into how I got accepted. They do call you on the phone when you do get accepted, and they also emailed me the next day. So hopefully you all will be getting that call. It's like the best feeling ever. I couldn't even believe it when that happened to me, but believe in yourself and just keep grinding. I know being a pre-dental student, we're just working so hard. And I promise you all, like the fact that all of you are in here listening to me and my experiences, this is a step in like the right direction for all of you. So I'm sure all of us will, be doing well in dental school. So just keep your hopes high. Okay, so just to show you guys a week in a life of a D1, what it looks like. So today, actually, at 9:40 a.m., I had my exam. I had IBSS exam. So let's just like run through. So Monday, we have our dent classes. Let me just break down some of our classes. We have dent, we have IBSS. Dent will be just all dental anatomy. So it focuses primarily on just like analyzing your teeth, from the fossas to the incisal edges to the occlusal, the different surfaces, like anything you can imagine that deals with the tooth. You will master like every type of anatomy of the tooth. So that's your dent class. And as you can see, you have a couple classes right there. And then you have other classes that are just solely like online. You just complete them on your own time. So I have like a few of those classes as well. And then we do have some clinical rotations. I believe it was just once this quarter. So each group will be put into a group and, be told to go when you need to go to the actual dental clinic. We have 2 different campuses. One for just like your regular like first 2 years, D1, D2 years to go to simulation lab. And then you have another place on campus where you're practicing dentistry on actual patients. And that's like not even like 5 minutes from the other campus. And then on Tuesdays, I have my IBSSD exam. We have it on Tuesdays at 9:40 a.m. And they basically give you, some time to study in the morning. All that independent study is just extra time for you. And then you just take that exam after this. These are my classes that are usually in person. Sometimes they're in person. They do only allow a certain amount of us to go in person due to COVID. But a lot of the times they're just all recorded online. And then a lot of the times a lot of us don't really go. Sometimes there's like 10 to 15 people. But I like to just do it all on my own time. I do watch them live sometimes on my computer, but I just prefer doing it when I can. Okay, and then independent study on Wednesdays, and then more IBSSD. So just like over here, it's basically like the same kind of thing. And then preventative is another class in personal finance, and then just more IBSSD, and then independent study. And then, so basically Monday to Thursday, you're just studying for all of these science classes. That's what IBSSD is. It's basically all the types of sciences you can think of, from biochemistry to neuroscience to immunology. That's what we're on right now. So definitely try to take those classes in your undergrad. I wish I took neuroscience. I really ended up enjoying it. I just finished that class last week. And you'll also get through so many classes. Like I think we're supposed to be finished with 3 IBSSD classes within just 1 quarter. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you how many credits we take per quarter. It's insane. And then, so on Fridays, this is the day that we get to be hands-on. We get to go to simulation lab, and this is only once a week. It used to be twice a week, but they changed up our whole curriculum. Not due to COVID, this was like 2 years ago. And basically, I'm in group A, other people are in group B. They cut our class in half. So we get to go like 4 hours in the morning or 4 hours later in the day. You're like assigned, and each week we just switch off different times. So as you can see, this week we have pulp chamber access number 8, 11, and 12. And by the way, just to give you guys a little insight, I don't know if you guys have heard of waxing, but we do a lot of wax up projects. And we're just about to be done with them. And now we actually are starting to use the high speed hand piece. What am I saying? So the high speed hand piece is like what dentists use to basically, remove the caries inside of your mouth and whatnot. So that has been like amazing. I'm only in my first quarter of dental school, and like they're already giving us these opportunities to be hands-on, to use the mannequin. So it's just been like a great experience so far. They're really like preparing you for, what you're going to be looking at in the next few years. So I'm really, really happy with my choice at Midwestern. And it's been honestly a great experience. For as busy as our schedule is, it's been honestly amazing. Okay, so yeah, we have 20.5 credits in 1 quarter that you have to complete. As you can see, each class is going to have a different amount. Right now I'm in immunology, so that's 4 credits. This was super rough, this class. That's like the first IBSST class that you'll take. And then, yeah, just some other classes. I'm even still getting used to this, so it's been crazy so far. Okay, so that's kind of like the end of what I have to talk about. If you want to reach out to me or follow me, you can definitely check me out. This is my email, my Instagram, and my YouTube. I would love to hear from you guys if you want to DM me or reach out to me. But I wanted to leave a lot of time for you guys to ask me your personal questions if you guys have any. So if you want, I can stop this, or maybe I can get out of this. And then I'm actually going to screen share so I can show you guys the other window that I want to show you. Okay, so just to show you guys the ADIA as SAS, this is what it looks like if you guys want to screenshot this. So this is what you're going to be using, like what I was trying to say earlier. This is what you're going to be using to basically apply to dental school. So if you guys want to check this out. And then I also was trying to show you guys this as well. Let me try to switch it up. And then this was the gala that I I founded this organization, and this is what the gala looked like. This is sort of what I was trying to show you guys. So a bunch of pre-health students. And just so you guys know, as you keep moving on, in these collegiate careers, like you're really going to start networking with, like, even one of my classes, it's interprofessionalism, and that's mainly what my club was about. So you're going to be meeting people from all different kinds of, healthcare fields. So being able to like start that club, and even if you guys would want to start something like that and collaborate with other people, it's a great experience, But yeah, that's really all I have for you guys. So if anybody wants to ask me any questions, you can just unmute yourself, and I would love to be of some help for you guys. And thank you for having me.
People asked some questions in the chat. So one
Yeah,
person
definitely.
said, what are you striving to be as a career after dental school? I think they mean like specializing.
Yeah, definitely. For a while, I wanted to specialize. And ever since I started dental school, it's kind of funny because I'm like, I don't know if I want to specialize anymore, because doing general dentistry, you're able to dabble into every kind of field of dentistry that you can do. And it's funny because in my interview, I asked them the question. I asked them, will you prepare me if I want to do, if I do want to specialize? And they told me, they literally looked at me and they're like, um, through the camera, obviously, but they kind of look tense. They're like, once you work with us, like you won't need to specialize. Like that's how confident they are and like what they do and what exposure they give us before we do have to specialize if we want to. So as of right now, I don't know if I want to, but my goal was to like maybe do, become a periodontist. I love restorative dentistry. I worked for a periodontist temporarily over the summer, and I literally fell in love with it. He's awesome. He's so energized and like he loves what he does. And I definitely wanted to follow his path. Also, oral surgery was a huge thing for me. But I'm just going to feel out dental school, get a little more hands on and see what I really, really like. Okay, can you talk about the org started? Yeah. What did you say?
I was going to read another question from the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 3 questions. I'm just going to kind of intertwine them. So what do you think your DAT score should be? Like what should you aim for? And do you have any options for what your cumulative GPA should be in undergrad and suggestions for research opportunities?
Definitely. Okay, so let's begin with the DAT. It truly depends on where you are applying to. So let's say you're applying to a school that has they're known to have a very statistically high like DAT or GPA. What I recommend to students is if you have to think twice about if it's a good score, it may not be the best score, right? So what I recommend is you find those schools, those universities that do a holistic review. In particular, Midwestern is one of those schools. They do not just focus on, oh, do you have a 20 plus, DAT, and is your GPA like a 3.5, 3.6 and higher? I know a lot of students, people that have reached out to me, they've told me like, oh, like I have a 3.2, 3.1. Do you think I'll still be able? Honestly, we don't know until you try, obviously. But I do recommend you first apply to those holistic schools that don't just look at your DAT or your GPA. They're going to look at you as a whole. That's what holistic means. They're not just going to focus on one thing. Whereas, for instance, UIC, University of Michigan, are schools like that that have a more competitive, even Marquette, they have more competitive GPAs and competitive DATs. You want to be in those ranges. When they say like their statistic is a 21, you should be hitting like 20, 21. But then again, some people get in with the 19. So I just recommend you reach for the stars. You try to get as good as you can GPA and as good as you can DAT. I'm not here to like tell you you can't do anything. And even if you get a lower score and you still get in, you never know what could happen. But personally, from my experience, you want to apply to the schools that are within those statistics of like your range. So if you have a 3.2 and you're applying to a school with a 3.8 average GPA, like the odds of you getting in will be very, very, low. So try to get those schools that, have your statistics. That's the biggest thing I could say. As for research, can you tell me the research question again?
It just says, do you have any suggestions for looking at research opportunities?
So like trying to find research opportunities, I think you're trying to ask.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think we had like a website at the time for research. So I just searched like dental research and I literally emailed every single person that I could find that had dental research. I got super lucky. Only one person responded back to me because I know it could be like really hard, especially with dental research. They don't really offer that much of it, or it's just too hard. Like only the dental students could do that. So I got really lucky, and this person responded back to me, and she became a mentor for me, and it was the best experience. I learned so much. So what I recommend to you is researching. A lot of people, what they say is that when you go to email a professor about wanting to join their research, show them your interest. So talk about the research, explain to them why this is like important to you or why you like want to do this. You know what I mean? So that's like what I would do. That's what I kind of did. But don't just email a bunch of people like I did. Really engage with the person and tell them like why you want this. And if they don't respond back to you, just move on to the next one. And you do not just have to do dental research. You could do any kind of research. I have so many friends that did orgo or did something with psych. So it doesn't just have to be dental research. Me in particular, I just wanted to see if I can get some dental research, and it ended up happening. So I got a little lucky there.
So
yeah.
someone in the chat is asking about extracurriculars that so you talked about getting involved in extracurriculars / volunteering in your undergrad career, and it took a person a while to get involved. So they started a little bit later, even though they were a freshman in 2016, they started in like 2018, 2019 to get involved in the community. Do you think that's okay? And what's your opinion on that?
Yes. So as long as you tried your best within those few years in the beginning, I would say that's fine. As long as you're doing it now and you're an active member and you're like really trying to do your best to maybe even do leadership your senior year, you never know. I think it still looks good on your application. But don't just do things just to put on your application. Really try to like do things that you're passionate about. For me, I didn't just do the predental club and found my own organization. Like I did things outside of the community, outside of school. Music Magic was an organization that, was outside of UIC. It was like 15-minute drive to go to like, the deeper parts of Chicago to really impact people. So doing things like that and even engaging in your hobbies. Like I was singing out and I was still doing what I love, I was doing it all for free. It's not like I was getting paid for this stuff. But mention that in your personal statement, like show them your interest. I do not think it's a bad thing that you started later on. I still think it's good. It'll still look really good on your application. But you don't have to just do organizations, maybe I kind of said things differently, but, be well-rounded. Show them that you're not just focused on school and you can just get a 4.0, show them that you're still human and you want to help people because that's what our future profession is. So yeah, it's never too late to start. But if you are a freshman, start as early as you can, because it looks great.
So another question is, do you recommend taking a gap year?
Okay, so me personally, I'm 22 years old. I got into dental school right away after I graduated from my undergrad. I did consider a gap year. That's why I only applied to like 5 schools. I didn't want to overdo it because I'm like, worst comes to worst, I can enjoy a year off. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I also I think you should still apply. Even if let's say you're finishing up your senior year or you're finishing up your junior year and you're like, I want to apply to dental school now, I think you should still try, at least to the schools that you think are, that are realistic for you and your stats. I just personally wanted to just get right into it. I didn't want to waste time. I think people, if you need to work on your application and you still feel weak, then take that gap year to fix whatever is weakest in your application. But I recommend anybody, if you are on the track to graduating your junior year, you should be applying. Like I personally think you should try just to see, so that you can get feedback from the school just to see if you like what was missing, what was the weak parts of your application. Me personally, I recommend anybody apply as soon as you can, because why waste that year? You might as well just do it and figure it out. If you get in, you get in. If you don't, now you can figure out what you need to work on. So that's my take on it.
Can you talk about the org that you started and how it helped with your applications to dental school? I actually skipped this question previously. I'm super sorry.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're fine. So yeah, me and another student from DePaul, we actually DM'd each other. We're like, why don't we collaborate? We're both pre-dental students, but why don't we make this like a bigger kind of thing? Let's make it pre-health students in general. Let's not limit to just dental students. So we collaborated, and I'm like, when I start something, I'm the type of person, I go through it and I do it as best as I can, and I don't want to stop until it's done. So I just reached out to him and he reached out to more people, and we just created like this committee from Loyola, UIC, and DePaul. And from that, I it was people that were pre-med, that were OT, that were pre-dental. And then a bunch of our members were pre-nursing, pre-OT, pre-PT, pre-medical. Like it just became crazy. And it's like, I'm so glad that we made it happen because it gave us, a little outlook to, meet people from other healthcare professions. And also, like, let's think about, so how did it help my application? I was asked about the Pre-Health Society, I think in each of my interviews from what I recall. And it's funny because every school talks about interprofessionalism. So I honestly, sometimes I feel like the only reason I got some of my interviews was because I created that. But I can't just say that because the rest of my application was pretty strong. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. I just feel like they saw that I wasn't just like, I'm very passionate about this. You don't just start an organization and like, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort. I was putting in hours. I was honestly like putting in more time into that than I was my schoolwork at one point. So it was not that great in that aspect, but I was just so passionate about it. And I think that they could really see that through my application. And I don't know, I think it definitely helped my application a lot, but I'm not admissions. I can't really tell you that, but I definitely enjoyed that whole process. And, you get what you put into it. If you're going to put in a lot of time into something, you're going to see a result. And I think they saw that, I put in so much work with this organization. So it worked out well.
So there are so many healthcare fields, and it's really overwhelming to finalize this person's major. So how did you decide your freshman years of undergrad that where you wanted to go, and how can this person get over their initial anxiety of reaching out and emailing professors and healthcare workers for advice and research opportunities?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing, let's start with your major first. I went into my undergrad as a chemistry major, and I ended up, switching to biology just because it hits most of the prereqs for pre-dentistry. So I personally recommend to all people who are unsure of like what major they should do, I definitely recommend bio just because almost every single dental school, it will hit all of those prerequisites by doing biology. So that's like the biggest thing. I think that's an easy for any healthcare profession. That'll be definitely helpful. Let's see, what else did they ask? So getting over that initial anxiety of like reaching out to professors, you just have to be confident in yourself. You have to like tell yourself that you could do it and, speak as professional as you can, show them that you're passionate, even if you have some of them like for classes, because a lot of my professors at UIC, they were doing research. And I could easily just approach them, be like, hi, I'm really interested. I love this class that you're teaching, and like, talk to them about like your passion. Honestly, you don't have to do dental research, but I definitely recommend you do any kind of research that you can. I'm sure any science field of research will help you because when you're in dental school, you're literally studying every part of your entire body. You're not just focusing on the mouth. Like, we learned all about your eyes, your ears, just everything. So I think it's good that you get a little outside information about things other than just, dentistry. So, I definitely recommend you just trying to do that face-to-face contact and, just show them that you're really interested in their research. That's like really all you can do. Also, a big thing, meeting other upperclassmen, seeing what kind of research opportunities they did, and maybe since they're leaving, you can take over. That's a huge thing. That's another reason why I loved creating that organization, was I met so many different kinds of people. So joining those organizations is such a big thing in my personal opinion. So join those organizations, Pre-Dental Club, or any kind of like club that you are interested in to kind of, meet people that will help you, get a step forward into like the right direction that you want to be in.
So how did you get a job as a dental assistant, and do you need prior experience or anything to be able to work as one? Also, what year did you start?
Oh, it feels like forever ago. So I know a lot of you guys have never heard of me or you've never seen me before, but I really put myself out there on social media. And a lot of people knew me as the girl that sang and all of that stuff. So I ended up meeting this girl that followed me on Instagram, and she was like, oh, like I didn't know you were pre-dental. And I was explaining to her how I'm like struggling to find a job because I've lived in the city. And literally she was like, I don't need the job anymore. If you want to like look into it, you know, apply, call them up. So it was like, I got so lucky. A lot of these things, I'm telling you, I just network. Networking with people is so important, and where I've gotten today is just because I've met so many people. You know, I have a very bubbly, I guess you could say, personality. I love to speak, as you guys could see, like I talk so much. But I really recommend you guys just reach out to people, you know, get out of your shell and meet people. It's not that I just put out on social media that I'm a pre-dental student, but I do, I have like a whole highlights on just like my pre-dental experience. And I think having people see that I'm doing this helps you gain more, you know, experiences and more opportunities. Like recently over the summer, how I did that periodontist, I was a dental assistant for a periodontist. His daughter knew me and she actually reached out to me and she was like, hey, would you want to be a dental assistant for my dad due to COVID? Like they're looking for somebody. Would you be interested for the summer until you start dental school? And that was honestly the best opportunity anybody could, you know, give to me. And I'm so, so glad that I was able to do that. And that was all just because I posted that I, you know, got into dental school and that, you know, everyone kind of knew I was a pre-dental student these past few years. So that's kind of like what I did. I think I started I think the end of my sophomore year is when I started doing dental assisting. And if you're able to do it, even if it's a family member, like it helps. It really does help. And it helps ensure and solidify that this is the career path that you want to take. So I definitely recommend you guys try your best to get those, you know, opportunities. Also ask your parents, see if they know any, you know, dentists, because they could definitely get you a job easily, I feel like. Or even just shadowing. Maybe start by shadowing and then you can ask them for a job. I definitely recommend that to a lot of people. Even a student in the pre-dental club with me, he came up to me, he's like, Jess, I'm really struggling. Like I started shadowing this dentist and now they're like, they trained me to be a dental assistant, but they're not paying me. You know, what should I do? I'm like, you got to be upfront. You can't just be in a little box, like be very blunt with them. And he talked to them and now he's getting paid. So it's just, you got to be open with people. You got to like be able to, you know, communicate. So I definitely recommend all of you try to do dental assisting and definitely shadow. The biggest thing is shadowing.
So someone else asked, this may be personal and they completely understand if you don't want to answer, but they were wondering about cost of schooling and how to go about it. And if you're studying and working at the same time.
Yeah. There's only like so much I could tell you about this, but I mean, yeah, Midwestern is definitely expensive. So is like every other dental school. The prices for dental school have gone insane more recently. And it's funny, I show some of the dentists that I work for the prices and they're like, it is nothing compared to what like they had to pay. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking out loans. I'm not working. I really don't think a lot of people have time to work throughout dental school. I've considered it, I'm not gonna lie, maybe working at a clinic like once a week. That's really all you could do in dental school because you're literally studying every second you can get. Like me taking this time out, you know, this hour to talk to you guys, I like really had to like nitpick my schedule to really fit it in. So we do have really tight schedules and getting a job is doable if you really just want to do work in school. If you don't want a social life and you don't want to relax, that's all on you. But me personally, I just took out loans and that's really all.
Did you take the DAT this summer after sophomore year or after your junior year?
So I finished my junior year and then I took the DAT. So that's when I took my DAT. And also don't be afraid to push it back. I didn't feel prepared, so I kept pushing it back. And until you really feel prepared and you take a bunch of practice exams, just take the exam and be confident. That's what I recommend.
So someone else asked if you feel comfortable, again, they're saying, but what if you feel comfortable, what did you get on your DAT?
Okay, so I've never really like told anybody, and I personally just don't think it would help you like knowing what I got, but I did well enough to get in. So I definitely recommend you focus on the sciences the most. That's what Midwestern I feel like wants to see, is that even if you do really bad on the other sections, I really recommend you focusing on the sciences. And I honestly barely studied for the English and the math. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I focused on the sciences, and those were like my highest scores. So, yeah, I feel like that's all I really have to say for that.
What program did you conduct your research in?
What program?
That's what
Does anybody want to?
I think they probably mean like who did you?
Like, what was it about, maybe, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started out just doing these surveys for patients at the orthodontic clinic. So what I was doing was they would choose certain patients, mostly in the more like obese range and the normal weighted. And what I did was, after I collected all of those, they used that for one part of the research, and then I started my own research, which I basically analyzed a bunch of panoramic views of, I want to say 10 to 12-year-olds mouths, and a lot of them were either going through orthodontic treatment, half of them were obese and half of them are normal weighted, and we were basically connecting, seeing if obese or normal weighted patients had more or less caries than the other. It turned out to be, since we didn't have that much time, because I ended up graduating by the time we finished the research, we only had like 30 patients. So the final product of like what we found it or concluded wasn't really that accurate because it wasn't that many patients. But it was basically that they had equal amount of caries, and that normal weighted patients had more extractions, which was kind of interesting. But that's really all I did. I analyzed the panoramic picture of the patient's teeth, and then I just wrote down every crown that they have, every carie that they had, any restorative dentistry that they've had done previously. We looked at their BMI, and we just compared the two from the normal to the obese patients.
I just want to let everyone know that there's a survey posted for receiving your shadowing hours that's in the chat right now. Just click the link to make sure it works. If anybody has any last minute questions, either you can unmute yourself or just post it in the chat.
You guys could definitely speak. I want to like hear everybody's voices. I've been talking so much, I think I lost my voice. Any other questions? My DMs are totally open for you guys. If you guys have any personal questions, I am more than willing to help you out. Even with some interview questions. I know some of you guys are probably going through interview season right now. Of course, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for doing this. This was so helpful.
Of course, I'm so glad. That makes me so happy. I'm honestly so open to helping you guys out. Personally, if you want to reach out to me, my Instagram is my name, Jessica Samawi. If you want, I could type it here. There you go. So I know a lot of people will reach out to me on Instagram. Of course.
Thank you so much for this incredible and insightful session, Jessica. I really enjoyed it as a pre-dental student, even though I'm still a freshman, so I'm getting all like the knowledge before.
That's awesome.
I will probably end up reaching out to you because the more I can
I would
get,
love that.
you know. But
no, definitely.
you want to post your social media handle in the chat so people will know, and don't feel free to do that, your email or anything. And to Wayne State students, please make sure you complete the Google survey posted in our Zoom chat summarizing the session to obtain your shadowing hours. Thank you all for coming, and hope you all have a great night.